Didn't mean to ruin.
No. You started that, and then he just over the top of speaking of lyrics. Jesus Christ.
That's actually pretty much what I was going to say. So well done, sir.
Yeah, we're gonna talk all about some lyrics and some production, some rapping, if you could call it that in some cases. We're gonna have a grand old time today right here on the KickAss.
Are we though?
No, we're not.
I mean,
this was tough.
To be fair, we call this segment Greatest Shits for a reason.
Yeah, we sure do.
And I, at some point, hope, as we go through the list of artists that we put aside to look at for this particular exercise, which, if you haven't heard our previous attempt at it with both Maroon 5 and Nickelback, first of all, you should go into your preferred podcast provider, roll back down that particular feed, and check those out. But the thing that we do is we go backwards through a discography and try from on an artist that's generally not perceived as is the most critically acclaimed, and try to pull an actual greatest hits record one at a time from each of their past discography. And I had some thoughts when we said, let's do Will Smith. And yes, let's include, obviously we have to include this stuff as the Fresh Prince. I said, cool. Mm-hmm. Because I think two things. First and foremost, I had to question how much that nostalgia pull is actually like kind of tainting how we look at Smith as an artist.
Totally.
And two, my first thought was, I'll just redo their greatest hits record, because I think once you get past the singles, we don't have to make a deep dive here. The singles are probably the things you remember for a reason.
I have a slightly different take on how that works with this particular catalog. Just slightly, right? Because I agree with you. I think nostalgia played a huge role in what I thought. I was like, oh, so the first 5 records of this task are going to be easy, and then it's going to become a challenge. But so nostalgia has this sneaky way of like making rough edges disappear. Like more about like the feeling around the thing rather than the thing itself. And in the case of the Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff records, you know, the memory is this bright, funky, funny, harmlessly charming, like party music with colorful colors, big personalities, you know, that goofy grin. But then actually like sitting down with these records is a rough experience. Some of the beats are bouncy and some of the charisma is still there, but the songs are so thin and so corny and so long.
Oh my God. Yes. That was my first thought in settling through, is I don't remember these being this long.
Yeah, right. I mean, several songs that were over 5 minutes, which for these songs, like that's about 2.5 minutes too long to really get in, get out, do what you need to do. We'll talk more about some of the lyrical motifs that we found throughout the earlier catalog and throughout the later catalog too.
In only some slight defense there, I think it's fair to say that the longer pieces were just sort of also, that was just rap, that was hip hop at the time.
Yeah,
true.
It was still a longer, things routinely were 4 and 5 minutes long.
Sure, but give me a 5.5 minute Tribe song or a 5.5 minute Public Enemy song, and I'm not running for the door.
There's the downside that I can't define. On the other side is that quality also matters. And at a certain point you're going, there was no need for those extra 3 verses. I think we said all we needed to say in the first 6 minutes. Thanks.
Could have wrapped this up for sure.
Wrap it up, B.
Well, let's jump into one of, at least I think, one of the longer albums. Definitely one that I clocked as just having some of the longer songs per capita, which was the debut album, Rock the House, released in July of 1987. 10 tracks, 5 of them over 5 minutes. I want to say the shortest one was like 3.5, and then it just goes up from there. Dan, I'll start with you. Like, what was the track that you would pull off for Rock This House for the first entry into the Will Smith Greatest Shits album?
I'm freestyling here because my notes for this disappeared. But the track I picked up was definitely not the single that everyone remembers.
Same.
And I'm sure that I believe that's one of the things you were alluding to when you said we'll talk about lyrical content here. I'm going to go with Rock the House because it actually seemed like the closest to a genuine party track and was the least samey in an album of samesies. And I'm sure that's a statement I'm going to make quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of same within these albums, within this discography as a whole. Jay, were you in the same vein with Rock the House with the title track, or did you go a different direction?
No, I went different. And I had I have many reasons for why I went the way I did. I went with the Magnificent Jazzy Jeff as the standout for me as far as like best track on the record, because I honestly, that at that time at least, and probably we'll talk about this later, but at that time it showed who the true talent was in the outfit, using the Ronald Reagan State of the Union speech to a backbeat featuring Chic and Jazzy J, Billy Squier, Tears for Fears, a host of whole others, including sampling the opening track on this record. This version of it was superior.
Yeah, it is interesting that already, like, the three of us, as we try to come to a consensus of the one fairly kick-ass song to put on this album, we're already going to start with 3 different selections. Because for me, I thought the best track on the album was A Touch of Jazz. That is an instrumental track, which means we can't really give Will himself a lot of credence, or at least as much credence as we give Jeff. Just Rockin' was the second place for me. It is a song that certainly suffers from what Dan was talking about, that it doesn't have to be as long as it is. We could have gotten out in 3 without a problem. But it is, compared to the lyrical onslaught with some of the other tracks of like, but why don't girls just understand us, fellas? Like this didn't have, I don't think, really any of that, which was refreshing amongst all of the other tracks lyrically. The flow was good enough. The production was good enough. So yeah, it got my top spot. But I'm not at all married to most of these selections, to be honest. So
No.
I forgot how we do this. Do we settle on this now, or do we come back when we have disputes? I don't remember.
I think we settle on each track, if I remember correctly,
let's
and then
on
go
the
to the
track
next
now.
one.
All right, let's settle on this one, because I'd like to formally withdraw my track, because I like both of those tracks better now that the more that I kind of look at things, because again, as you mentioned, the talent being shown off, and I think I mentioned this a little later on, the talent being shown off from Jazz is going to be the selling point here.
Yeah, and that was kind of what made me disqualify the Magnificent Jazzy Jeff out of hand, just because of that. But I'm kind of going back on that, because there is still a lot of Will Smith in this track, despite what the name is. So yeah. I'm perfectly good. Like it's not a bad track compared to some of the tracks on this album. So I'm good with Magnificent Jazzy Jeff.
Well, obviously I am too.
Done.
I think like this is probably the only one that I'm gonna win, so I'll take it.
I think you're gonna be surprised.
We'll see. You might be surprised. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, there's aside from the obvious ones that we'll hit here shortly, but I feel like I'm not gonna win most of these.
Yeah, there are to me 2 slam dunks in this catalog that we'll get to. One is a consensus slam dunk, I have no doubt about that. The other one, I'm not sure if y'all are in the same vein, but we'll get down to those as we go through to the second album. He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, from March 1988. I feel like this album as a whole was just rock the house, but slightly better. But that was just my listening. There were still some shit on this album, don't get me wrong, but I did feel like it was at least an improvement of the same overall.
I guess I won't disagree with that.
No, I would. Yeah, I'll go with that.
And I'll kick us off this time with my choice, which was Here We Go Again. A lot of these tracks are going to have caveats to them. That's just how this is going to go. And this caveat is that lyrically, this song is pretty not dense. It's basically like, hey, you didn't buy our last album, so here's what you missed, which is a terrible premise for a song. Let me be very clear about that. But everything else is pretty solid. There's, I talked about upgrades. There's a small upgrade in production, a huge upgrade, I think, in Will's flow from pretty much anything on Rock This House. And yeah, it's basically like a filler track if you want to look at it like that, but it's, a good one comparative to the rest of the album.
Yeah.
Jay, what do you have?
I went with the obvious one on this one. One of two potentially obvious ones on this one. And that was Parents Just Don't Understand. It was the standout hit single, one of only 2 tracks that are recognizable to anyone but super fans. And also one of only, in my estimation, I didn't even include Here We Go Again on this one. In my estimation, it was one of only 2 tracks on the record that has listenability outside of the bonus tracks, because there's some cool DJ stuff on that. But the other obvious one to me would have been Nightmare on My Street, because it gets played every Halloween.
Yep.
But I think what I was drawn to here was, again, we can talk about it throughout probably, but we start to really get a glimpse of that chip on Will's shoulder. Particularly in Brand New Funk, but also Here We Go Again. And also like there's a handful of them where he spends much of the song telling listeners how much fresher, more original, more entertaining he is than everyone else. That's a standard for rap boasting, but compare him to everybody else at the time, the LL Cool J and the Rakim and Public Enemy, where their confidence was usually tied to lyrical skill or toughness or social commentary, and his is like, I got an A without cheating, you fools. Like try harder. And I really think that this is where we get a lot of that. This record in its entirety is a lot of that.
Which kind of sucks, honestly, because I feel like that could, his style of, I guess, wholesomeness, could have been more refreshing if it were not delivered by him. You know what I mean? It just waters down, which, something that's not a bad message. And it definitely was counter to, other hip hop artists of the time. It could have been, a cool breath of fresh air, but it was not.
But isn't.
You both bring up something that's sort of a through line running the entire length of his discography all the way to 2025 is the 2 things that you have that seeming desire to want to put out a clean record. And mind you, he's 19 when doing these things. So there is something to be said for that type of talent. But at the same time, there's this reliance on being this clean thing while also trying to be, I'm the best. No, you're just the most unique right now necessarily because you're doing something that everyone else isn't. And you're doing it relatively well. There's no way to connect that back to, I agree with you, because I picked A Nightmare on My Street. And I think it's because it actually shows off his best talents, because the flow improves, but it's still, for the most part, this sing-songy thing that we were used to. And it just that's not gonna change.
No.
What jazz is doing underneath it is really what changes and makes things interesting. But I went with this because it's also, there's a storytelling element that he can tap into maybe better than most. And that's sort of where that stands out on that one. I have a clear narrative and I can tell you front to back and then still throw a little thing at the end for you. There's still some humor in this. makes it go, all right, well, this song stands out because I remember the story he told, not just because it was a good sample, because the next 73 minutes of this album are gonna be a slog to get through. And that's not a joke. The vinyl and cassette version was 85 minutes. And yes, a good chunk of that's the bonus scratch album. That was the DJ stuff. Cool. So let's edit it down for CD. And we edit it to 72 minutes.
Yep.
Woof.
And again, that's a lot to get through when the sound really only barely changes track to track.
And I think, hearing you, especially you, Dan, talk about like the storytelling aspect, I feel like even going into this, kind of thinking in the back of my head, like I'm maybe unfairly grading that a little bit on a curve, just because like I know that there are so many other great storytellers in hip hop, even of the time, even thinking of someone like Slick Rick, for example. And, knowing that Will couldn't necessarily, live up to that, but still for his, like you said, his unique style, I think that was maybe a little too harsh and a little too unfair. So I think that I probably kind of cast aside A Nightmare on My Street pretty immediately because of that. But I think I'm very slowly coming back into that. So yeah, I think that would, I will be the one withdrawing my choice at this point. And out of the two, I would definitely go with A Nightmare on My Street for sure.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think the two songs, I would eliminate yours first two, Zach, because I think Dan and I had the same kind of like Parents Just Don't Understand has the story involved with it as well. There's the humor and all that kind of stuff. But Nightmare's a better track, probably.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so we got 2 down, only 8 to go. Thank goodness. And in this corner is the name of the album. It's kind of a fun name. It's kind of a cheeky name. October 1989, album number 3. Jeff and Prince, as it were, perhaps hitting their stride a bit. Yeah, not for me though. Like I was not a fan at all of this. Not that I've been a fan of the past two either, but this definitely marked a low water point for me in the catalog to this point.
Yeah, agreed.
Thirded.
Jay, let's start with you this time. What was the diamond in this very, very rough album?
I went with I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson. And the reason I did so is because it does a little bit of what I was talking about earlier with that big old chip on his shoulder, but also like you can tell it's a joke, which a lot of the times when he does that, you can't tell whether he's being serious or whether it's a joke. And, the last couple of years have shown us that most of that is not a joke. And in this case, it clearly is, but he presents himself as someone who really and truly believes that he can beat Mike Tyson. And it's funny. There's a story there, the arrogant, the confidence that borders on arrogance, maybe, that runs through all of his stuff, but it works because it's very clearly and wholeheartedly a gag.
Yeah, the lyrics are so fun. Just looking at like all of the feats of strength and athleticism that are very obviously impossible for a human to do. I think it kind of harkens to like Human Video Game as an example of like, did he actually meet this person who was beatboxing Donkey Kong like just in the middle of the street somewhere? Like this may be rooted in reality to the point where it's not really fun, but obviously I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson has that fun aspect to it. Yeah.
So as I would say, is that what you're picking?
It's not what I'm picking. No, I actually went with Too Damn Hype for mine. To me, it was the most memorable track on the album. The most memorable track for good reasons. Let me make that clear. There were a few that were very memorable for awful, terrible reasons. This one was not that case. Production was again good enough. Not Jazzy Jeff's best, but certainly even his worst is probably going to still be pretty solid. Will has some pretty cool double time flow in there that he starts to experiment with that he gets better with over time. But even just more of the rough around the edges stuff, it seemed pretty cool. Another meta song, like, hey, here's my crew. This is what we do. You know, truthfully, what I just said was a better rhyme than maybe a good portion of this album would present to you. But yeah, it was a cool track. It was a fun track. I dug it.
I enjoyed that it sampled Billy Squier, Big Beat.
Yes.
Not my favorite track that samples that. That would go to Dizzy Rascal, but it makes it listenable. Yeah,
the samples, like the crate digging is just out of this world. Like if this was a Jazzy Jeff, you know, fest of just talking about all of his samples, like he's absolutely up there production wise. I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
I think that's what I'll eventually come away with this project from, is a newfound respect for Jeff, and hope that if you actually Spotify list our recommendations, you'll also hopefully come away with a better sense of his talents, so that you don't only remember him from Flying Out the Front Door.
Which was still epic every single time.
Every time. Let me tell you, the adage, if it's funny once, the 30th time it'll still be hilarious, absolutely works with that.
100%. Write that down, listeners. That's right. Just Comedy 101.
That's right. I'll be finishing that course at the Learning Annex every second Thursday of the month. Which is, I mean, this is just me tap dance to say I think I can beat Mike Tyson, because it's like lyrically, I think it's the best track on the album. That sense of humor is far more obvious here.
Yeah.
I gave it a few extra points for having the only music video. And I mean, if you haven't seen the music video and you need like the most over the top 80s music video you can think of for, I mean, just goofiest, it in fact would be a 20-year-old Will Smith in the ring with Mike Tyson. And he's selling punches. Let me tell you that. I don't know how one learns how to sell punches like Will did, but I hope we all collectively forget how to sell punches like that. Anyway, and I said it's one of the better beats. If I was going to go for something else to respect the sample game, I would have gone with Jazzy's Groove.
Yeah,
ditto.
Sure.
I was for a second thinking, was this going to be the first unanimous? This is not what I expected to be unanimous at all.
No, well. No, I think we're about to hit that one.
I think that was my attempt to lead into 1991's Home Base. Because
do we even need to discuss?
We need to argue with this. I don't think we need to.
Good. We do not. Cool. Thank goodness for Summertime, because otherwise, I don't know that I would have made it through all 10 albums. Real talk.
The anticipation that at some point I get to hear Summertime.
Real talk. Like, what can we say about this song that hasn't been said already? Like, it's one of, Will's biggest hits. It's certainly Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince's version of Will Smith's career. It's the biggest hit there. Oh, yeah. And it's just it's the perfect summer song. We've talked about it on this podcast at length.
We have.
I would say I think more than once have we talked about it being both the perfect summer song.
Yeah, at the very least, like backyard barbecue songs or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as we are heading into the heart of the backyard barbecue season, of course, it's front of mind. But it doesn't really matter what time of year. It's still a great song. I will say this for the record. I enjoyed it a little bit more because of those new jack swing touches that get worked in.
Yep.
Like, I know they were trend tracing at this point in 91, but it's not a bad trend to chase.
For sure. Yeah, looking at a track like The Things That You Do, for example, like, with the kind of harmonized R&B vocals that really you didn't have like sung vocals at all pretty much throughout the earlier parts of this catalog. So it if nothing else, it mixed things up. It kind of alleviated a little bit of the monotony.
Agreed. And I do have, so like, I did this thing where I was trying to find that chip on his shoulder, and it exists on this record too in a couple of different places, but primarily on You Saw My Blinker.
Yep.
Is the one where like you get that thing where like everything he does is accurate and everybody else is an idiot and nobody's doing anything right, and it's like, okay, I got it.
So is it bad that I would have put that in my third place spot from this record because my brain went through it and went, oh, Will said a swear.
I mean, that is notable because I couldn't find another instance of that until his most recent album from 2025.
Yeah.
I think it may be the only one until that. Yeah.
Yeah, because everything else, like the heaviest you get is the word hell. He uses that quite a bit, but that's like the closest thing to a swear you get from him until this song.
Right.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, and to put the record in context too, is like we've kind of crossed that threshold from what you would think of as old school to the next generation as we're working our way towards gangster, and like the rest of the industry, he's the one working like this. Everybody else has kind of opened the floodgates from a lyrical standpoint. And like, it's not just to say, oh, they can swear. No, like there were no barriers anymore to what you could or couldn't really talk about.
Right.
It felt like that might be a very simplistic way of breaking down into the early 90s, but at least for the stuff that was hitting charts, there ceased to be a hesitancy to go places.
Yeah.
From a lyrical standpoint, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. And to your earlier point of like Will not needing to be the best, but just having this lane that he's in that no one else is in, like that in and of itself can be a great thing.
And like, it's a lane he's going to continuously refer to going forward.
Continuously.
To point out that chip on his shoulder that like, I'm this good and I don't have to curse in my songs. What's up with the rest of y'all? And we're like, parliamentary point of contention, sir.
Well, if we may.
Rebuttal.
It's fine. He, at this point in his career, Home Base is about the time that it really started, but he kind of solidified himself as the parentally acceptable hip hop artist, which again, like for those of us that I was like really to say not allowed is a bit of a stretch because my parents were very into music and they would have supported whatever I was listening to, pretty much, language with notwithstanding. But he was the parentally approved hip hop artist, which really helps with that nostalgia factor because I listened to a lot of Will Smith back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this album would have came out not right after, but between seasons 1 and season 2 of The Fresh Prince. So now households are, becoming familiar with him outside of the music industry. And like you said, Jay, it's like, oh yeah, this guy from the TV show, like he's A-okay with me. Yeah. Listen to all of them that you want. Yeah, absolutely. I could see him having that label. So we got one consensus down. Yep. Obviously, very nice. We move forward a couple of years to 1993, October of 93 specifically, with the 5th and final album with the Jazzy Jeff collab, that being Code Red. There were some good songs on Code Red. There were some rough songs on Code Red, but I think overall, to me, it was kind of like milquetoast almost. It was just like it was there and it happened and I listened to it and it was the most unmemorable of the 5, and maybe that's not a bad thing comparatively, but yeah, what y'all think?
It is hilarious to agree with that assessment of it being a little more milquetoast, because at the same time it's also the hardest sound that they put together in their collaborations.
Yeah,
but also again, context of 1993, it was the middle of the road as you could get for hip hop at that point, especially stuff coming out from the East Coast.
True.
Yeah, I wrote the first sentence I wrote for this was nothing on this record is good. Like,
no.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Like none of it is good. And I think for me, the thing that is most notable is that there's less Jeff.
Yes.
That I think stands out too. However, this is positive or negative or not, but I'll call it out because I as I'm running down and looking at the credits and I went, hey, wait a second. Can't Wait to Be With You. An interesting track because it was co-written by Luther Vandross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And unsurprisingly, one of the better tracks on the album. I can get mine out of the way real quick, though, because I didn't have, I went back to make notes about the record, and only one song was even memorable enough to make any note about it.
And it was the only single anyone will remember from it. Boom, Shake the Room.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I made that note, and the only note I meant was, damn, I didn't realize this was them. I knew the song. I didn't know it was Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff.
Truthfully, I didn't either, to be totally honest. I'm like you said, it's a song you know and have heard, and I guess I just never made that connection either.
Yeah, I do remember that because I remember the video. Like I remember this coming out as a Smith song or as a Fresh Prince song, and it falls into that category of it's still not a great song. It is probably the most presentable one on the record. It's the production is bigger. It is 100% swagger, but it doesn't feel phoned in. But here's one of those weird things. It's probably the best production on the record, and there's no Jeff. He's not one of the writers on this track.
Yeah.
It's the one I picked too, by the way, just so that we're it's one of the slim pickings on the record that is not generically about being with someone.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I ended up going another direction, another one that I wasn't at all tied to, but just because I thought that to that point and perhaps ever, like this was, I think, Will's finest flow for sure was on Scream. And, it just was like everything kind of that he's been experimenting with over the last 4 albums, the kind of, sing-songy delivery that you mentioned, Dan, the kind of, double time delivery, everything just seemed to culminate in this track. It wasn't necessarily fun. It was just your stereotypical hype track about hyping, oneself up in the way that Will has done so well throughout his catalog. At least I felt like it at least showcased him as an artist, maybe more than other songs. But I think as a song in total, Boom Shake the Room is certainly better and absolutely a more entertaining song than Scream. So zero arguments with what y'all's picked.
So that's funny though, because Scream to me falls in. It's that same category of here's that chip on my shoulder again.
Yes, 1,000%.
Like a little bit on Boom Shake the Room, but it's more like it feels like more like just generic swagger on Boom Shake the Room. Whereas on Scream, he does talk about like, hey, guess what? I'm selling records now. Y'all thought it was a fad, and now I'm big and bad, or whatever he says.
Also, would be one of the better rhymes on the catalog.
Something about being big and bad with a pen and a pad or whatever. I don't remember.
It's so lyrically, it's so dumb. Like it's so unfortunate because it sounds so good. It's like if you just tried for 10 minutes to write a song, dude, like you could actually have done something. But yeah, zero arguments. Boom, Shake the Room. We get to halftime here. Quick recap from Rock This House. We have the magnificent Jazzy Jeff from He's a DJ, I'm the Rapper, A Nightmare on My Street. From And in This Corner, I think I can beat Mike Tyson. I'm sure we can collectively as well.
I wouldn't bet on it.
3-on-1. Nah, I'm still not taking it.
No shot. Yeah. Of course, from Home Base is Summertime and Code Red, as we just mentioned, Boom, Shake the Room. To finish, I put in air quotes, finish the Jazzy Jeff years, which, as y'all both alluded to, we're already kind of finished going into this album to some extent.
Yeah.
But now we get into the solo stuff. With a Big Willie. I hate these album titles so much,
so
especially now. Now.
You're not even coming close to the one that's the most worth hating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yet.
No doubt. But November 1997, all of you remember it. There were several hit singles on this album. And I tried to avoid the hit singles, and I'm kind of questioning that decision as well. But I ended up going with the cheesy 90s R&B track, which was Chasing Forever. It certainly is a song that feels like it belongs more on LL Cool J's catalog than it does in Will Smith's. But it was something, again, just different, something a little bit more fresh than some of the singles, and a little bit better than really anything else. I mean, there are other songs that I would not at all, like I have a number 2, number 3, etc. on this album, but Chasing Forever I put as my tops. Dan, what about you? Did you go with one of the hit singles, or did you go a different direction?
Almost the complete opposite. But it was this record that absolutely solidified my position that Will Smith is the walking greatest hits album, and that's pretty much it. Like, this was the thing where I said, there are 4 songs here, and there are 50 some minutes worth of music, period.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. My first thought was, I don't need to listen to the record. It's Miami. And I know it's Miami just because of the reaction that I just got over the call here. And then I would justify it. But like, it's fun. It is dumb as hell, but it's fun. It's fine. Like, it's got a groove you can at least fit to. And I think that's the thing you got to kind of notice. Like, Men in Black has that, the thing because it was tied to a movie and it was tied to at least to a decent movie. We'll get there. So that was there. But honestly, you said you went with the cheesy R&B track, and I turned that cheese up to 11 as I went with this reworking of just the 2 of us.
Oh, God.
Uh-huh. But here's the thing, and this is something we can go back to, is that it felt like the first time that Will was writing something and being genuine about it, and it wasn't about how big his dick is, lyrically speaking, sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can see that.
For the change up that was thrown, and for me really not wanting to call Getting Jiggy With It the best song on this record, even though it legitimately might be.
Oh, you might be right. I hate that.
Because that's where Jay's about to go, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
I hate it so much.
Oh, I hated writing it down. I hated every second of that. While I don't disagree that just the 2 of us might be the first legitimately sweet moment in his entire catalog, it still sucks. And I think made more it makes that suck more pronounced because he tried. like for me, it feels like when you're not trying, when you're not putting in the effort and you fail, it's okay. And
you tried and you failed. What lesson did we learn?
Never try. Which, it's the wrong message to send to any youngins listening to this particular episode of the podcast, to never try. Here's the thing. Chasing Forever is a good track ish. And it was my number 2.
Nice.
But Getting Jiggy With It has, I don't know, there is the nostalgia factor to it. There's the fun factor to it, the production on it. It is hard to ignore that is a thing. And literally the only thing I wrote for Big Willie style was Getting Jiggy With It. Duh.
Man, I don't disagree with anything you said. I feel like it's the hook of this song is so terrible that it's like it's really hard for me to like the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Sure, but here's the thing, and let's be honest, because I want to know what's going on in your brain every single time that we have said Getting Jiggy With It. Because, and you're lying to yourself if you're not, every time we have said the phrase Getting Jiggy With It, your brain has automatically gone na 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 na. So it works.
Fucking time.
Again, that's what I wrote down as my number 1. I didn't want to write it down as my number 1. I wanted to be different. I really did.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like it's the only time in his entire catalog where he truly changed the lexicon. Like we don't that phrase entered the American lexicon and never left.
Which is sad for all of us.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not denying that.
There is legit time, and if you're too young to remember this, get off my lawn. But we're saying that you were getting jiggy with it was an actual accepted answer to what are you doing tonight?
For sure.
Don't do it now. You will get very strange looks.
We arguably shouldn't have done it then, but
Not really.
Will Smith as Hit Machine was an undeniable force at this point in his career, for sure.
And at least this song that has no dancing alien.
No dancing alien.
We're all better off for that not being a thing in the song.
Except we're about to take a step into dancing with the giant fuck off spider.
Jesus Christ, we are.
I mean, I'm not. I'm leaving that song the hell alone.
No. I think I don't think I have to foreshadow much on that one.
True. Very true. Yeah, it is. Considering that Millennium, the next album, came out in November of 1999, this may be the last full album that many people listen to in the 20th century. That is utterly devastating to think about. Like it.
I prefer to think they went with Santana, but
I would hope choices can be made for sure.
However, I also think we can make a legitimate claim that this is the last Will Smith album that many people listen to.
That is a very fair claim.
I wrote one note down about the record itself. Listenable because of the features. That was my note on the record.
Yeah, this is by far the most featured Will Smith album that we've ever had, really. You know, you had like Biz Markie and Slick Rick on a track. You had Lisa Lopez on a track. You had MC Light. You know, so many Eve. You know, so many great features. I don't know why I said Lisa Lopez and not Left Eye. It felt weird.
That's fair.
I don't know.
It was weird when you said it.
It was weird when it came out of my mouth too.
I am a little mad at this record though, simply for the fact that the closer features Jill Scott, and he made me feel ambivalent about a song featuring Jill Scott, and that pisses me off.
Yep.
That should not be a thing. That it seems like it was impossible until I listened to this album and I went, how the fuck did you do that?
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
I am now upset.
Yeah, going into the listen, I was like, oh, that's going to be the best track on the record. Nope.
For sure. Yeah.
It was like the time says it was on a Maroon 5 single and then just got blurred out by whatever it is that Maroon 5 does.
Well, I can go ahead and get mine out of the way real quick.
Okay.
It was obviously The Rain featuring Jill Scott, of course, as we're saying. In my notes, I have I don't even want to tell you guys this, the second slam dunk in the catalog.
Oh, wow.
Jill Scott does a lot for this track. I'm not going to lie. The message is it's delivered by Will Smith. So there is that packaging that goes into it. But truthfully, it's about as meaningful and introspective as you're going to get from this guy. The beat is good enough. Yeah, it feels like, kind of like you said with Just the Two of Us, Dan, it felt like that track where he was like being genuine and being like, you know, not like I'm the best rapper / human alive, but like actually saying something that kind of mattered to him. And I was like, yeah, I can get that. I can get down with that. It's not great, but again, we're comparing this to itself. So yeah, that definitely got my nod.
Yeah.
But I still agree with everything that you said. He did find a way to make a Jill Scott track mid, and that does suck.
And here's the problem is I say all of that, and I also say that it is the best song, in fact, on the record. It was a toss-up for me between that and Who Am I, but I went with The Rain.
Fair enough. I went with So Fresh. The Biz Markie verse was the selling point for me.
But that right there points out literally everything wrong about the record is that when you're picking what you like because of the best feature you like, not because Will is here.
Well, I mean, that's true no matter which of these three tracks that we just mentioned are real. Like, is it So Fresh because of Biz Markie and Slick Rick, or is it The Rain because of Jill Scott, or is it Who Am I because of Tatiana Ali and MC Light? Like,
I tossed about in there because of Lil Kim too, but you know.
Oh yeah, Dabata, Lil Kim.
For sure.
But again, that's also it. And sorry, Casey, but you couldn't help Will. No,
2K. That song is ass.
Will 2K. The concept of it just.
Yeah, my only note on that song is just the single word Christ, and I stand by it.
And now, dear listeners, that we are 7 albums into this experiment, you see what these projects do to us mentally. Yeah.
Would not recommend putting yourself through this.
There are so many other discographies I would have gone through in late 80s and early 90s hip hop that I would have recommended before we did this. But we have a gimmick to hold to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm nothing if not committed to the bit.
And much to our own chagrin.
Much to our own chagrin. Being committed to the bit, we had to listen to Born to Rain, which came out in June of 22. 22? Let me try that again. Which came out in June of 2002.
Woof.
Yep.
This album was not ideal for anyone.
Yeah, I honestly, like, for this record, I would like to invite Mr. Smith onto the pod to defend himself.
I want to hear him talk about, well, many things, but one specific track.
Yep. And I know which one you're talking about, too.
Yes, you do. I don't even want to like mention it because it is skin crawlingly fucking creepy. It's legitimately so like, oh.
Here's the thing. I think I'd rather talk about that than any of the actual tracks that we need to talk about to determine which is the best. So let's just go there.
Okay. So I don't have a good reason for it. I'm going to pick out Act Like You Know as the track on the record to pick. I could just as easily have said Black Suits Coming or Block Party, but I went with Act Like You Know because it's not that track.
Yeah. Yeah, not that track is doing work here. Oh, Jesus Christ. It was maybe for me. It was just a nice little love song, that showcased Will's singing voice, which didn't need to be showcased, but at least he tried. He got in there, he gave it a go.
What have we learned?
Never try. Kids shouldn't listen to this podcast. What are we talking about?
No, man.
Under any circumstances.
Just three bitter old fucks, apparently.
Yeah. I did like how it was kind of recited almost in a poetic way, which was a little bit of a departure from all of his previous tracks, really. But yeah, I thought it was unique and just nice. I thought it was really nice, and I'll take that at this point.
Let me speed through because I did take Block Party simply because it's basically Summertime Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have to come back to that so that we can just talk about the bad. Yeah,
so I will say, yeah. So I will wholeheartely throw my support behind Block Party. That's fine.
Same.
We can just end that conversation there. Maybe on the other hand,
thank you.
Here's the problem: is a romantic song on this record in particular makes your skin crawl because of Willow is a player.
I was dreading this moment.
Like, put some thought into that. It's your baby girl, man.
And not like baby girl, like, baby girl, but like baby girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's a heavy dose of analogy and metaphor at play. I get that, Will. I understand what you were trying to do. But when we say never try, like we say it as a bit, we laugh, we joke. This is a legitimate real life case of this never should have been tried.
Even if you tried to give the benefit of the doubt, and it's hard to stretch that too, that he wanted to write a song about daddy's girl. Okay, sure. Got it.
Yep.
That's a concept that's been done. It's usually like diabetes inducing sugary. But it can be done. And then like every turn you could have made that would have made it less than like every choice was wrong in expressing this.
Well, I do think specifically there's a couple of lines in the song that push that. Like there's a few things that could be sweet in there, right? Like, okay, she's got me wrapped around her finger. Yeah. Everything she wants won't be denied. Like all that kind of stuff. Like that can all be sweet. But when you combine that with lyrics like every eye tied to her as she step out the crib, and or something like every time I touch her, she makes me feel like a child. There's like you can understand the sentiment. You can understand where he was going with that. But the choice was wrong. I like the way you put that, Dan.
Right. Can I also point this whole thing out that these songs were recorded between 2000 and 2002, correct?
Yep.
and Willow was born in 2000.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. The very unfortunate nod that we're all doing.
Like, sometimes you gotta do the math, and I don't want, like, the numbers don't, like I said, I understand, I think, where the sentiment was going. You wrote it like a ham-fisted teenage love song about, at best, your 2-year-old daughter.
Yep.
And I could picture him in the studio, like patting his own back so hard that he like breaks his shoulder blades. Like especially the line about as she steps out the crib, like, oh, Will, you nailed that one, dog.
We didn't know he was fucking being literal, did we?
And then there's the stuff on the rest of the like he drags his whole family into the album. It's not the first track that Jada appeared on in his catalog, but it's the weirdest. Also a Luther Vandross cut, so just, you know, there's that. I don't know why I brought that up.
I mean, because you can think about Never Too Much, because it's a far better song, and you can kind of play that in your head.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Almost got through all of them.
Almost.
We just got
so close.
2 more with the penultimate album coming out in 2005 in March, Lost and Found. We did have a little bit of a reunion with Jazzy Jeff, which was fine. We had some other features, which were fine. There was a lot of this album that was fine. Mm-hmm. How did y'all feel any specific sort of way about it, or was it just fine on your radars?
Fine.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt to listen to. Yeah. Which is huge in this catalog.
Sadly.
Big improvement from Born to Run.
I went with If You Can't Dance with Nicole Scherzinger. Yeah. Not a great song. It's okay. But it's fun, and that's it.
Yeah, I thought really the same exact thing when I listened to it. Like, this is like, I wanted it to be a better song. I feel like I maybe willed myself into thinking that was a better song. It's not, like you said, it's certainly not. But yeah, it was fun. At least they had that going for it. Mine was weird, unexpectedly. I went with the song that, at least at first on its face, sounds like the 9/11 cash grab again in Tell Me Why with Mary J. Blige. It ended up being another case of Will, and I think I gave this too much credence now that I'm kind of looking through my notes and looking at all of the songs kind of one after the other. You know, it was more introspective Will. It was more, we didn't start the fire vibes in a way. Like, Will's attempt to be sincere with, you know, his take of why is the world the way that it is, and it's terrible. And while it comes from him, again, like, there is that veneer of him not really being able to deliver a truly deep, eloquent thought with any sort of depth or eloquence whatsoever. You know, but I gave him some bonus points for the effort, and there really wasn't anything besides that was super fun or super notable. So I went with it.
Sure. Dan?
I mean, if you want to go that route, Jadakiss did a better Why song. And I say better because it's terrible in a different type of way. But he did it a year ago, so I wouldn't bother. Don't go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. So here's the thing. As I was just listening, I didn't look into anything. I just rolled through it because the only note about the record I put is, it says, I can take the criticism, and if you don't believe me, let me tell you how much I don't care about your criticism for 55 minutes and 5 seconds. Album.
There's that chip.
Ginormously. I couldn't take the hit seriously. Switch can fuck all the way off.
Yes, agreed.
So the only note I made about Party Starter was that, hey, this could be mistaken for a Ludacris track. And then I went back and went, because Ludacris wrote it.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly.
So if that's the only thing I can come up to say that's a positive, that you sounded like you were trying to be the guy who handed you the lyrics.
Yeah, it was number 3 for me.
I did not have a good time with this album.
No. It was meh. Just meh.
Best. Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with Party Starter. I'm perfectly okay with If You Can't Dance. Scary Story would have been my number 2 for what it's worth. I did
fine with Tell Me Why. I think more than anything else on this album, I just don't care.
Agreed.
Like, I think he's worn us down at this point in the catalog where Okay.
Right? Like, all right, whatever.
I think that's why I gave this too much credence too. Like it's different. Oh, thank God, it's a different thing. Just like pleading for anything that isn't the same shit again. Yeah, any of these tracks, I'm like, whatever, it's fine as long as it's not Loretta. That track was absolutely
or Switch.
Or Switch. Switch was just
Switch.
I hate that song.
Ooh, I like that call. I like that call.
It's even worse with the remix when you get Robin Thicke in there.
Oh, I did not listen deliberately because fuck Robin Thicke.
Agreed.
And fuck Will Smith at this point too for putting us through this.
Okay, got it. And then
I don't. Did we flip a 3-sided coin and land on something?
No, I got a better idea. I'll let you know when we run it down.
Okay, sounds good.
A little suspense. I dig it.
Which we would then have to wait 2 whole decades.
Yeah,
for Will Smith to return to the studio and lay down new tracks. And I had to ask the question because it was one of the things that I wrote down. I wrote 2 things down about this record. I will say this, the beats are way better than on Lost and Found.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll give him that. But the other thing I wrote down was asking, who is this for?
Yeah.
One person.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
The only person who gives a shit about this album, for sure.
Yeah, I actually wrote down, and since we've been talking about it, I may revisit this and say that my answer would be Born to Rain, but I also wrote that this is probably the worst of his records, and that's saying something. Like just the overallness of it. like you said, the beats are better than Lost and Found, but do we care? Probably not.
I don't know.
Born to Rain it's at least thematically a far worse record. So I think I would land on that. But this, like you said, we waited 2 decades. No, we weren't. We weren't waiting for anything.
That's the thing. I think at this point we were kind of like, okay, cool. We'll just be an actor. Like,
yep. Yeah,
you're far better at that.
Yeah.
Just go do that.
Like it says something that like Hitchcock is a better movie than his entire solo career.
Kind of like Hitchcock.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, that's what I'd give it. Like, okay, kind of like that. But that also tells you, like, yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. But I like, because I think everybody can go, all right, I like a song.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can't say that he can't put a hit out.
No, he absolutely can.
Totally. Yeah.
He just hasn't in 28 years.
Right. The albums then become vanity projects. Is what it is, and this, and based on a true story, really felt like a vanity project.
Yes,
through and through. It doesn't need to exist. There's nothing on it to write home about.
Which makes me a little worried for him as a person when he mentions that this is his most like personal work and this is the genuine Will, and I'm like, that's not good. That's not good, my dude.
Pick the worst album in Justin Timberlake's catalog. It's the one he called his most personal record.
Yeah.
Like
that's starting to go up there with the whole we evolved our sound statement about an album.
Yeah.
Kiss of Death.
Kiss of Death.
So I went with Beautiful Scars because Sean Paul's voice lends a lot.
Yeah. That was hard for me to pick against. Was that what you went with as well, Dan? Beautiful Scars?
That would have been number 3. But the problem is I wrote down Rave in the Wasteland.
That was my number 2.
I can't remember why. I can't. Which the problem is that actually speaks about most of the album. Like that, like Rave in the Wasteland, Beautiful Scars. That's probably the best of what I can remember, and that's not saying much.
Agreed. You know, for me at this point, after having been beaten down by this gigantic boulder on Will's shoulder for the latter part of 10 albums, you know, I capitulate. Will, you win. You finally got me. My track is You Looking for Me. Because we're gonna fucking lean into it. If we're going for this, Will, let's just find you on the TV. Let's just find you on your IG. Let's just talk about how you are the greatest human being to ever live, and let's just shit on every single person that you've ever perceived as an enemy in your entire life. Let's do it with panache. No, there's no panache here. I can't even lie about that jokingly. Yeah, it's obvious. Like, to me, it's not obviously, but Beautiful Scars would actually be my choice. But yeah, You Looking for Me, it's just like comical. It's ramped up so much that it kind of has circled back around to, like, you know, this is the worst version of this dude, and, you know, I just revel in it.
That's what I'm talking about. If you're gonna go Will Smith, go the full fucking 9, not pussy out when it comes to free shit to drink.
Jesus, you motherfuckers are pushy. You know what? I'll go with Zach on this one. Yes. That's fine. That's fine. That works. Here's the thing: that track wasn't on my radar, but the line "Jada got my DMs hot with bodies."
So stupid. It's so stupid.
Well, that's the show, folks. I have to thank y'all for coming. Please,
God.
Please stop by the merch table on your way out, and we'll be in the front. We'll be in the foyer, shaking hands and accepting all the appropriate slaps and kicks to the shins that we have earned over the last 60 minutes.
You know, the open invite's still there for Will to come in and defend himself for half of these records.
Please.
Just the latter half. He doesn't have to defend himself for the Fresh Prince stuff.
Not just the solo stuff. I agree with you on that one. So here is the final disc that I believe we've put together, which would be, here's what I'm curious on, actually. Now that I think about it, he put out a greatest hits album in 2002, and I want to see how close we get to it.
Well, obviously, half of those won't be on there.
2, 3, 4. Actually, we did mention almost everything on this record.
Oh, wow.
Thankfully, no one brought up Freakin' It from Millennium, but I think everything else we talked about. We mocked Wild Wild West, but that's neither here nor there.
It's a fun song, but it's not good.
It's not. So here is what I have. Off of Rock the House, we are taking the Magnificent Jazzy Jeff. Mm-hmm. Off of He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, we're taking A Nightmare on My Street. Off of And in This Corner, we're taking I Think I Can Beat Mike Tyson. Off of Home Base, we're taking our only consensus pick, Summertime. Mm-hmm. Off of Code Red, we're taking Boom, Shake the Room. We are reluctantly taking Get Jiggy With It off of Big Willie Style.
Reluctantly.
Did we decide whether we were taking The Rain or So Fresh off of Millennium?
Oh, it was The Rain.
Okay.
It was double pick. You guys both picked it.
Fair. We were taking The Rain off of Millennium. We are taking Block Party off of Born to Rain. We are taking Anything But Switch or Loretta off of Lost and Found.
Fair. Super fair.
And then You Looking for Me off of Based on a True Story, the most recent, and if we're lucky, the final solo album of Will Smith's musical career.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we want to go away. By all means, keep doing movies, man. Keep doing movies, because even the stuff that others may say is the absolute dregs of your acting career is far better than Millennium.
Dude, I'll take 100 Bad Boys movies.
Those are at least kind of fun, and at the end, shit blows up. Like, I don't know what else you want in a movie like that. It does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, I'll take 100 of them
easily. Oh, we made it, boys.
So if you do, in fact, want to torture yourself like we have, but you don't have the patience to listen to 10 whole albums of this, I recommend you head on over to fairlykickass.com, where we'll have this actual playlist. We won't put the entire Lost and Found record except for those 2 songs on there, I promise. We may not even put anything on there from Lost and Found. Yeah.
I mean, maybe just go with all 3 songs that we picked from it, just to torture our audience a little bit.
There you go.
But yeah, if you wander over to fairlykickass.com, this will be our ride along playlist if you really, really want to take that ride. And I don't know why you would, but we are here to provide.
It's been provoted.
But more importantly, you can also commiserate with us or tell us how wrong we are by hitting us up at all of the normal social areas on Blue Sky, on Instagram or Threads, or on TikTok. I believe we're still producing stuff for TikTok. And as you said, I believe the YouTube problem has been fixed. If you just look for @FairlyKickAss and all of your social media needs and areas will be there. We'll be there.
You will be there. Anything else we want to say about Will Smith?
No.
Before we go?
God, no. Absolutely not.
I hadn't listened to much of this music for a while, and it's going to be a long while before I even think about getting jiggy with it again.
I might have to go burn my Hitch DVD in effigy.
I'm surprised you haven't already.
It came in a package.